Hello everybody, welcome back to the Medieval Reader. So today I want to talk about some of the books that I've recently finished. So I finished Letters from a Stoic by Seneca. So I actually finished this a few weeks ago, but I've never really had a chance to talk about it. And I feel like because this is a philosophy book, it's better to talk about on camera, so that's what I'm going to do here. Seneca was a Stoic, and the Stoics, if you know anything about Stoicism, were materialists, so they believed that the whole world was made of matter, and so that there was a material cause for everything. As a result, they were fatalists, and so a lot of Seneca's advice is to learn to accept the world as it is, and to accept any tragedies that befall you with courage. And so that's what really Stoicism is about, and this is an abridged collection of Seneca's letters. They certainly don't include all of them, but they do include some very important ones. One of the things that I really appreciated about Seneca was how open-minded he was. So the Stoics' opponents were the Epicureans, but Seneca will actually cite Epicurus numerous times in his letters because he feels like wherever truth is found, no matter where it's found, it's valuable and it should be embraced. So Seneca was the tutor to Nero, so as you can imagine, he had a pretty rough time, and he was also very sick, so he talks a lot about his own illnesses and what his illnesses made him think. So as a result, I want to point out that there's quite a lot of discussion about suicide, and the Stoics actually felt that in certain circumstances, suicide was heroic and acceptable. So if any of that is a trigger for you, I would definitely avoid this collection. Okay. Now I'm going to read you the passage, which I love because it talks about how we are all actors in this play. As it is with a play, so it is with life. What matters is not how long the acting lasts, but how good it is. It is not important at what point you stop. Stop wherever you will. Only make sure that you round it off with a good ending. And I think that really sums up Seneca's philosophy. There's a lot of things that befall humanity. Not all of it is good. But what's important is that you do the best you can, and that you live with courage and with integrity. And to always look for what is good in others. He emphasizes community and the importance of community. I felt like in general, Seneca's philosophy was very comforting. I do tend to resign myself to the way things are, and I think that there can be a problem there, where we don't want to improve things. But I think at the same time, in this constant quest to make things better, we can become very dissatisfied with ourselves, with others around us, and we can become extremely pessimistic. And I expected that Seneca would be a pessimist. I mean, fatalism usually is seen as a pessimistic philosophy. But I felt like there was just so much joy in this book, despite all of his suffering. So I would say that if you don't have a problem with reading about suicide, I would definitely pick up this collection. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really valuable. So, there you go. Then I read The Selfish Gene by Richard Dawkins. So this book was definitely not what I expected. The Selfish Gene is actually Dawkins' refutation of E.O. Wilson's group selection theory. His argument is that selection does not occur on the group level, but on the gene level, on the individual level. And so that's his argument here. So he gives a lot of examples of how that works. A lot of this I learned in my introductory biology courses and also in my evolution course that I took when I was a biology major as an undergrad. So a lot of this I knew. I felt like, for the most part, this was a great book and a good popular introduction to natural selection. My problem with this book was that one of the chapters is about memes, and this is where he starts to think about non-genetic replicators, and so he starts talking about cultural replicators, and I felt like it was definitely not related to what he was talking about. I wasn't convinced by it. He didn't really talk too much about it, so I didn't feel like it took away a lot, but it was definitely out of place. It did not go with the rest of the book. So if you're interested in a good introduction to natural selection, then I would say The Selfish Gene is really good. He doesn't actually address economics or philosophy very much, which I assumed with the title, so I guess the title is kind of deceiving. This is the 30th anniversary edition. It's probably good to get that because he has a lot of notes at the very end. It was also, if you know Dawkins, he's quite an outspoken atheist. He's actually not that outspoken in this book, so he kind of keeps that to a minimum, which also, I think, lends credibility to his book because he's talking about what there's evidence of, as opposed to using this as a means to attack other people's religions or whatever. So yes, this is a good popular introduction to evolutionary biology, I would say. Finally, I read Tucker Everlasting by Natalie Babbitt. So I watched the film when I was younger, and I was assigned this in 2nd grade, but when I was in 2nd grade, I didn't enjoy reading. So I did not read Tucker Everlasting like I was supposed to. I really enjoyed the book because it's like introducing philosophy to children, or making them think about life and death in a way that's fun and whimsical, but also fairly serious. So you have a family who has drunk from the water flowing from a tree. The Tuck family are everlasting. They live forever. They're immortal. And the way that they live forever is that they just don't age. And the question that there's a lot of things that go on in this story, but one of the major questions is whether living forever is actually a good idea. Church bells. I thought that the premise was really interesting. The writing is very beautiful. I just wanted more of an in-depth kind of study of this family, the Tuck family. There is a character in this book that comes up later in the book, and I felt like this character was kind of ridiculous, and so I had difficulty believing in this character's actions. But I think in general this was a good children's book. I do really enjoy the film though, so I'm not usually someone who watches films, so I can't tell you if it is the best produced film ever, but I really enjoyed it as a child, so I do recommend it. So these are 3 books that I read: Tuck Everlasting, The Selfish Gene, and Letters from a Stoic. So that's what I have. Tell me what you have recently finished, if you've read any of these 3 books, and your thoughts on them. That's all for now. Thank you. Bye now.